Welcome to the short Plastics Workstream teaser video presented by the Plastics Workstream team. More than 8,000 million metric tons of plastic have been made since the beginning of large-scale plastic production in the 1950s. Since then, about 6,300 million metric tons of plastic waste have been generated. From those, about 79% have been disposed in landfills or in the environment. As a consequence, plastic debris of various sizes has spread across many ecosystems, including remote locations such as mountain lakes and polar sea ice. Research, societal awareness and action have long focused on marine plastics. Most marine plastics likely originates from land-based sources. Research and action have therefore been expanded to freshwater and terrestrial environments. However, there is still substantial uncertainty regarding the transport and fate of plastics in the environment. Unknowns and uncertainties in our knowledge about plastics in the environment arise, to a large extent, from the lack of data, or more precisely from the lack of comparable, harmonized data. The lack of harmonized data was one of the key motivations to develop the UNEP guidelines on monitoring plastics in rivers and lakes, which have been published in 2020. The Plastics Workstream brings forward the implementation of the guidelines by hands-on workshops at different locations around the world. In practice, the implementation of plastic monitoring programs is hampered by multiple barriers. The Plastics Workstream analyzed those barriers primarily by conducting surveys among potential users of the guidelines. Case studies in Ghana and Cambodia revealed diverse and complex barriers. Key barriers that have been identified are a lack of a clear monitoring strategy, the limited availability of financial resources and technical equipment, and the knowledge of how to monitor plastics. These barriers, however, are partially originating from the perceived need to monitor microplastics, which requires dedicated sampling and laboratory equipment. The key motivation of both the guidelines and the workshops is to provide guidance and training on developing monitoring strategies that can be applied in a given regional context. The workshops are designed to support the identification of site-adapted and capacity-based targets for plastic monitoring and the selection of relevant monitoring methods. The workshops promote citizen-based monitoring approaches which have great potential for monitoring plastics in freshwaters. Monitoring methods can be as simple as counting plastic items floating on the water surface standing on a bridge. If done consistently, it provides valuable insights into types and amounts of plastics transported at a particular site. Using simple methods has great potential to involve citizens in monitoring. Based on the UNEP guidelines, a 5-step workflow to develop harmonized river plastic monitoring strategies has been implemented jointly with workshop participants. Harmonized monitoring in the Rhine, Oder, and Mekong rivers provided comparable insights into the state of local plastic pollution. We found locations with similar degree of floating plastic transport in the Rhine, Oder and Mekong with 1,000 items per hour. The workflow provides a basis for collecting comparable data globally without the need for dedicated laboratory infrastructure and by leveraging citizen engagement. The Plastics Workstream team is grateful to all contributors, workshop participants, and to the WWQA for providing the funding for conducting the workshops.